The story of Pygmalion. Many centuries ago, there was a man called Pygmalion who lived in Cyprus. He was the best sculptor of his time, and his statues almost lived and breathed because they were so perfectly made. Pygmalion, as every great artist, had some eccentricities. All girls, he thought, were as annoying as his sister. Girls. Who needs them? He thought. Life, he considered, should be dedicated to art, not women. If he was going to put anybody or anything on a pedestal, it would be a statue. Many girls in town admired Pygmalion as the great artist he was, and some of them would come to his studio to gaze at his statues and try to attract Pygmalion's attention and affection. But Pygmalion was only interested in his art. One night, though, as the sculptor lay asleep, Aphrodite, the goddess of love herself, appeared to him. "Listen now, Pygmalion," she said. "You are dishonoring me by refusing to love a woman. There are several nice young girls in the village. You must pick one for your wife. If you don't, I will choose for you." Poor Pygmalion. The goddess was ordering him to marry. What a nightmare for him. But Pygmalion thought quickly and said, "Oh, goddess, please," he begged, "before I marry, let me create my greatest work. Give me time to create a statue of the most beautiful woman ever, in your honor. I cannot do this when I am married, for my wife will be jealous of its great beauty." Aphrodite was intrigued and smiled at his suggestion. "All right, then. I shall give you a stay of execution. You may have time to make that statue before you marry. I look forward to seeing it," she said. In the morning, Pygmalion went down to the port and spoke to a merchant. He ordered the finest ivory from Africa. He knew that it would take several months to arrive. When it did come, he started to make small statues, trying them out in different poses. Aphrodite could not understand why Pygmalion was taking so much time, but he replied that art cannot be rushed. A year went by, and Pygmalion ran out of excuses. He began to work on the life-sized statue for real. He made her perfect. Her ivory surface was as white as snow. She had more beauty than any real girl could have. And yet she was so real, she seemed at first glance to be living. He painted her eyes blue, and you could see daylight in them. You could fancy that the breeze was playing in her wavy hair. Her lips were just slightly parted. She seemed just about to move, only she stayed quite still. The sculptor was impressed with his own creation. He held her hand. Was she really ivory and not flesh and blood? She was so real. She couldn't be ivory for sure. But he knew that she was. After all, he had made her. He kissed her, and it seemed that she returned his kiss. He spoke to her, and it was as if he could hear her beautiful, wise, and witty thoughts. He told her many times how lovely she was. When he went out for walks, she was always on his mind, and he searched for presents for her. Smooth pebbles, winding shells, wildflowers. Pygmalion would make jewelry for her out of silver and amber. He slipped a ring on her finger. He draped her in lovely dresses. He even brought her a little pet bird for company while he was away. At night, he lay her down on the bed with a soft pillow for her head. When he spoke to her, he gave her a name, Galatea. Of course, Aphrodite saw all of this, and she laughed at the sculptor, who scorned all women, and who yet had fallen in love with a statue of one. So when he approached her temple on the hill, Aphrodite came to Pygmalion and asked him, "Pygmalion, have you chosen the girl with whom you want to marry?" "O mighty Aphrodite," Pygmalion replied, "I have. She is my sculpture. Please bring her to life, for I can love no other." Aphrodite saw that the heart of Pygmalion had changed. She knew that he had done her great honor by falling in love, so she made the flame on the altar leap and dance for joy. Pygmalion understood that she had granted his greatest wish, and he rushed home. He found the statue standing quite still, as she always did. There were tears of disappointment in his eyes. He held her darling hand and stroked her slender arm. Gradually, he felt her skin soften as wax softens in the sunshine. She began to turn from snow white to slightly pink. There was warmth in her body. Gradually, she leaned her head back, and her hair fell down loosely over her shoulders. Her eyes moved. Her mouth opened. Galatea, the statue of Pygmalion, was alive. Pygmalion married Galatea. He soon discovered that she was not actually perfect. No living person is. Only a statue or a figment of the imagination can be perfect. But she was lovely, and that was more than enough for Pygmalion, and they lived very happily together. The end.